For the first time in the franchise's history, the Denver Nuggets are NBA champions. It was a run that capped off patience in terms of team building. It was a dominant postseason run for not only the Nuggets, but for their franchise superstar, Nikola Jokic, who staked his claim as the best player in the world, putting to rest every bad faith argument from someone who just wasn't paying attention. It was an all-time postseason run from Jamal Murray, who literally didn't play last season because of an ACL injury. It was a reinvention of sorts for Michael Porter Jr., who found ways to be an impactful player, even when his shot wasn't falling. It was validation for Aaron Gordon, who was miscast in Orlando only to be a perfect fit with this Nuggets team, validating a trade that was objectively good at the time and is now obviously one of the great trades in Nuggets history. It was a great coaching run from Michael Malone, who had been here since the beginning when Nikola Jokic was a rookie coming off the bench. In case you didn't get the message or the memo already, the theme of this team is continuity and greatness, and when those two things mix together, you have something special. I know people want to pretend they are above dynasty talk and trying to project championships or forecast the rest of a great player's career, but I actually do want to talk about that because this Nuggets team has a few things going for them where I think this could be a real chance at multiple championships in a condensed span of years. Basically, what I'm saying is we have now entered the Nikola Jokic era. The first thing I want to touch on is continuity and chemistry, because I do think those things are important on a basketball court, especially when it comes to having a team and all 5 of its players on the court to be on the same page. And the Nuggets just have continuity and chemistry in spades. Michael Malone has been there since the 2015-2016 season. Jokic, of course, was a relative unknown as a second-round pick, but immediately was showing flashes in his rookie year and, was making a run up the Rookie of the Year rankings towards the end of his rookie year. And then they draft Jamal Murray. They draft Michael Porter Jr. Well, they also drafted Gary Harris, who I still have a soft spot for Gary Harris, but the constant building and drafting and then eventually drafting Michael Porter Jr., making a trade for Aaron Gordon, and not wanting to bail at the first few signs of playoff failure, because the Nuggets did also go through some heartbreaking playoff losses, or playoff-type losses, because remember that, I think it was the 2017-2018 season, if I'm not mistaken, where the Denver Nuggets basically missed the playoffs, but it was basically a play-in game with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Nuggets lost that game. They lost Game 7 on their home court to the Portland Trailblazers with CJ McCollum going bonkers. They had to go through a few things, and they had to go through a few things with their best players. And then the adversity in the bubble, coming back from 2-3-1 deficits, all that stuff matters and all that stuff adds up, especially when the stuff that's adding up, the playoff scars and experiences, if that happens with a young group that is growing together, chances are they're going to be better for it. And the Nuggets stuck with it. They could have fired Mike Malone at any point, but they didn't. The continuity of the stars and their two-man game, the role players, Michael Malone. By the way, the whole starting 5 is going to be back next year. Jamal Murray, KCP, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. So they not only have their starting 5 back, one of their main contributors in the finals, rookie Christian Braun, is going to be back as well. Who knows if Bruce Brown will pick up that player option? I would still be kind of shocked if he did. The Nuggets have their main 5, their 2 best players, the two-man game in the offense. That is one of the reasons why I think they have a shot at repeating this year. Reason number 2 is the smart front office of the Denver Nuggets. Of course, most of this team was built through Tim Connolly, who has to be, honestly, like, if I was Tim Connolly and I mostly put together, me and my team mostly put together a team that ultimately saw a championship through, and I wasn't there to see it, I would be throwing up. Just going from that to then going to Minnesota and doing that awful Gobert trade, that has to sting a little. But regardless of Tim Connolly's absence, the Nuggets still have smart people in the front office, because it was Tim Connolly and then Arturas Karnisovas who went to Chicago. But now Calvin Booth has led the helm for a season now, and Calvin Booth's moves over the offseason immediately paid dividends for this playoff run. Getting KCP, I love that trade at the time. I love the Bruce Brown signing. Also, a nice draft pick by Calvin Booth in his front office, drafting Christian Brown, who is only going to get better, who is somebody who obviously is one of those, like, quote-unquote foxhole guys where you know what you're going to get out of Christian Brown. You're going to get hard play. You're going to get cutting because, obviously not a good shooter, so might as well find a way to make yourself available playing off of Jokic. But then you have this rookie everybody likes, Peyton Watson. I just liked what Calvin Booth has done, putting the cherry on top of what Tim Connolly has built, and I have full confidence, and Nuggets fans probably have full confidence, that Calvin Booth can keep this thing together and keep it going for as long as possible. Number 3, and these are kind of two things that tie together, the Jokic and Murray two-man game and the unique offense it creates out of that. Now, where I bring up the 2015 Warriors parallels is, one, people are already rushing to discredit Denver's championship, kind of like the post-2015 Warriors, but we are seeing something different with the Nuggets, much like we saw something different when the Warriors first came into prominence. Just a unique offense that nobody else in the NBA can run unless you have the two guys to run it, Jokic and Murray, which nobody in the NBA except for the Denver Nuggets have, but they just run different stuff compared to everybody else. It's not just, the two-man game, because most people will assume it's the dribble handoff with Jokic and Murray, but it's always been much more than that, and there's been wrinkles added on to that over the years. There's just so many ways the Nuggets can run their two-man game, because Jamal Murray is a great shooter, a great cutter, a 3-level scorer, and Jokic is literally just one of the best offensive players of all time. But there is a song and dance with those two, and you can make wrinkles within that, the counters to the counters, and then you can even run action off of that, where Michael Porter Jr. may be coming off of a pin down from the weak side. And then you saw in the Heat series, the Heat tried every damn thing possible to try and slow down the Jokic-Murray two-man game. And like in Game 4, when Jokic and Murray did not shoot well from the field, the other role players stepped up because of the gravity those two attract. The offense, and then the way the offense creates space and room to operate for everybody else. That is what the Nuggets have in common with the 2015 Golden State Warriors. And like the Golden State Warriors, the Nuggets have an anomaly offensively at a position that is breaking the paradigm of what we previously thought of those positions. And when you lean into the unique qualities of an offensive player like a Steph Curry or an offensive player like a Nikola Jokic, you're going to create something that is unique to yourself and that a bunch of people are going to try to copy, and it's just going to be Dollar Tree versions of that. So the Nuggets have that going for them. The Nuggets are going to be primed for multiple deep playoff runs for a while, and this was their first deep playoff run since the bubble, but in the 2 seasons to follow, obviously the second round exit to the Suns in the 2020-21 playoffs, and then of course, the Nuggets lost to the Warriors in the first round when Nikola Jokic was basically playing with nobody. Monty Morris was their second best player. Now that they are healthy, they obviously won the championship, and I think they're going to be primed for more deep playoff runs over these next few years. We've seen with three-peat teams in history, those teams are usually on their last legs halfway through that third championship season, or when they are trying to three-peat that third season, usually the team is on their last legs, they're exhausted, they're probably sick of each other, etc. I think this Nuggets team, with their disposition, their attitude, and their lack of collective fatigue over multiple deep playoff runs, actually has them set up to have multiple deep playoff runs in the future. They already have one here with this championship, There is just something, championship swagger is a real thing. We've seen it with the Warriors, saw it with the Heat after LeBron won his first title. That 2012-2013 LeBron is still the best version of LeBron to me. After the Cavs won their first championship when LeBron came back to Cleveland, that Cavaliers team the next season I think was better than the Cavs team that won the championship against the Warriors. I am looking forward to seeing what the Nuggets do coming into next season, because I think they're going to win over 65 games. And I think they're just going to be primed for multiple deep playoff runs and therefore multiple runs at a championship. And it all stems with this guy. Of course, all four of my previous points are moot if the Nuggets don't have the best player in the world, and that is Nikola Jokic. Now, of course, some people will say Jokic, the 2 seasons before, was the best player in the world. I would argue Giannis. Steph has a case as best player in the world too, but I've always said Jokic was a tier 1 franchise player. You can win a championship with him. Jokic is what makes this Nuggets thing go. As much as we talk about Jamal Murray and this 2-man game with Jokic, and I don't want to discredit Murray, because Murray is a great player in his own right and a playoff player I would absolutely love to have over a lot of guards. But Jokic is the guy who makes this thing go. Just the combination of him being an elite shooter with some of the best touch I have probably ever seen from a center. He's not only a good ball handler, a great rebounder, a great passer, but also a great low post scorer. And that combination of skills just has never been seen before in a center. It just hasn't. And that makes things difficult for a defense to guard. How many times have we seen when someone single covers Jokic, he just goes right to the box, backs you down, and then flips up a soft little touch jump hook over somebody and the ball just plops in? Or Jokic pumps and goes, and at the foul line starts to launch his little floater and it goes in. Or his Sombor shuffle, where he steps to the side and is off of one leg and has the shot near the side of his head. The touch, the scoring, but the fact that he's a pass-first guy and he basically has LeBron's brain inside of him just makes it an untenable guy to guard. You cannot guard this guy. There is no answer, and you can build a unique offense out of that where everybody knows they're going to get the rock when they cut. The shooters know, hey, if I just run around Yoke for a dribble handoff, his big body's likely going to screen my defender and I have a wide open look for 3. Or if your 2 best players are down and you're Aaron Gordon and a few other guys, you can work on your chemistry with Jokic, because you know if you gain a rapport with Jokic, he's going to trust you and he's going to find you. And how many times have we seen Jokic in these playoffs make some disgusting no-look passes, or just passes that he sees 2 steps ahead to Aaron Gordon for a lob? This guy is incredible. The only player in NBA history, in NBA playoff history, to lead the entire playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. The only player. There is a lot of players who have played NBA playoff basketball, a lot of all-time greats, but Jokic is the only one to lead the entire playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. For the playoffs, 30 points a game, 13.5 rebounds a game, 9.5 assists per game, a steal and a block per game, 55% shooting from the field, 46% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line on 7 attempts per game. Just an all-time, with a capital A, playoff run. They're going to be primed for a lot of championships. And it's not one of those things where, because, you know, after the Bucks won, people thought Giannis would be there for a long time. This seems sustainable to me, where the best player on the best team, the best player in the world, is just an offensive juggernaut where he has no weaknesses. This dude, Nikola Jokic, does everything on the floor, and he's a good defender, and he has defensive pieces around him to insulate his flaws. And the way this team is built, the way Jokic continues to dominate, this team's going to be around for a while.